Namaste. We are with Gautamji once again for our next podcast. Gautam, thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome, Nick.
Gautam, today I wanted to discuss with you a very important subject which not many people unfortunately contemplate, that is service to the Guru. And it is in one of Robert Adams, the Advaita teacher's talks, that I had really heard something which was very transformative for me, where he basically said that those devotees, the close ones in the close circle, that have served the master without any expectation of anything in return. And he gave the example of a man who would fan Bhagwan Ramana for 50 years. He never spoke a word. One day that man dropped dead, and Bhagwan said he's not coming back. And it had a very deep impact on me.
Yes.
And I felt with Baba and Baba's devotees, unfortunately, many have that feeling that, oh, Baba left his body in 1918, we can't do anything. In the truest sense, of course, Baba does not need anything for us and we can't give Baba anything. But I felt if one has that feeling in their heart that they want to serve Baba,
Yes.
it can make a very big shift in one's attitude internally
Yes.
and open the doors in their path of devotion and on their spiritual journey.
Yes.
So, if you could speak about that a little.
Yes, Nick, this is actually again a beautiful subject you have chosen to speak about. You see, this is what you have said is extremely right. There are two ways to serve the Guru. Now, firstly, it appears we are serving an individual, but the Guru is God in human form. The Guru is consciousness. So, we are actually serving God, consciousness, a higher self. You can call it various names. In this case, we are serving Baba. Now, generally, there are two ways to serve the Guru. One is Dakshina, if you're wealthy, let's say, and what you can offer is money for the expenses of the Guru or for whatever may be his need, right? The other is, let's say you don't have the money but you are impacted by the Guru, you offer seva. Seva can be in various forms. You can be physically present for the Guru, run his errands, for example, just an example. Or you could be doing seva to spread the teaching. Now, obviously, in Baba's case, we can't serve him, he's not here in body form. But you could do seva for the teaching. You could do seva in either Shirdi or in any Sai Baba temple next to you. Or you could do seva even by living the teaching and sharing it consciously with people. So there are various forms of seva. But this is actually, I can't even say it is a rahasya, it is not even a secret, but it is seen and validated that those devotees who have offered themselves to their master have taken leaps and strides on the spiritual journey. There are innumerable accounts of that.
Yes.
Which we don't need to go into. There was a sage called Siddharameshwar Maharaj. He was Nisargadatta Maharaj's Guru. And in his book, he has also written actually these words, that even the wind which passes through a Guru's house should be worshipped. That should be the degree of worship. If the Guru in his house, in his kutia, has a dog, the dog has to be venerated. See, he was driving home this point. That is the level of worship required. And that is possible only when the devotee has so surrendered to the Guru principle, to the force of the Guru, that the devotee freely offers its skill sets, its resources at the feet of the master.
Yes. So, Gautam, in this case for devotees, maybe even the new ones, say when they go to Shirdi, there may be a common tendency initially to get perturbed by what is going on there. Many may have a attitude that, oh, the sanstha is not doing this, they are not doing that. But I wanted to cite one example. The last time when I went to Shirdi, I noticed there were a lot of dogs that were coming with the palkis, and they were getting injured because they are territorial. So I discussed this matter with Vinima. She gave me some information about why they come, how they come. Then I spoke to some people from the Sansthan to hear their side of the story. I spoke to a few locals, and then I shared this information with Mohanji and his organization, and they very kindly actually put into place something that was taking off, where they wanted to get an NGO involved and offer some help to the animals, calling them the dogs, Baba's dogs.
Right.
Now, because of the COVID corona thing, this sort of probably has stalled. But I feel if one goes with that attitude that, in whatever way one can go ahead and try and help or do something, isn't that a far better approach?
Yes, you see, there's historically there's an issue here. Now, this is again, if we look at India specifically and a temple town like Shirdi. See, the world was not prepared, India was not prepared for Shirdi to become what it became. Even when I went as a youngster, there was no queue. We could just walk into the main temple, right? Now, unfortunately, most of India's population is below the poverty line and therefore illiterate. That's the first obstacle. Now, if you go to pilgrimage sites in Europe, for example, I have been to Lourdes. Lourdes is a holy site dedicated to the Mother. And you see the discipline, you see the cleanliness, and you feel that people are there with their hearts wide open. How do you feel that? If you need any assistance, 3 people come running to you. That is the beauty. When they make you take a dip in the holy water, there are 4 men assisting you. Each of them speaks different languages. So they ask you which language would you like to be spoken in. So that is the care and sensitivity of the people who have volunteered there. And as you raise this point, Nick, what can we do in Shirdi? We can make it a better place for sure, to the degree we can.
Yes.
Beyond that, it's not in our control. So each individual, taking not only their skill sets but what is in their hearts, can make an approach, see what they can contribute and make an attempt to contribute it. You see, that's all we can do. The results are not in our hands. So I do feel also that, given what I have just said, and we all know that it is a mess of a town, but I don't think it could have been any other way than it is, because unfortunately that is the setup and get up of the land, and as I just explained about poverty, etc. But today's awareness levels are at the highest. People are more conscious than ever before. Today there's technology, there are platforms like social media which allow like-minded people to come together. Yours is one such platform. And we know the strength of a group versus an individual. So if individuals come together, now for example, you can find out who are the right people in Shirdi to connect with as far as the Sanstha is concerned. And people can come together, give their suggestions, offer their services there, or just go there themselves as individuals and do what they feel they should.
Correct.
There are various ways to approach it, but I do feel that it would be a sign of selflessness if that starts happening, and that's why I feel you again raised a very pertinent point, because so far we just go and we are concerned with our darshan and how long we have to stand in the queue, and then we get out and go to our hotel room, you see. So that is what we are all programmed, you can say, to do. But yes, of course, I'm sure there are many opportunities that would be available to lend a helping hand.
Yes. Vinima said a very beautiful thing. When she would take people on a walking tour in Shirdi, she would say, I do not charge anybody anything, but you take Baba's history from me and you go share it with 5 other people.
Beautiful.
Now that becomes one seva. So if people do visit Shirdi often and say they take up, say, a task like that, or they form a group, as you said, with social media, some can offer to clean Dwarka Mai, some can offer to volunteer in this way, that, become little tour guides for free, take people in their native languages, whichever they speak, and tell them about Baba's teachings,
Yes.
about the places in Shirdi that are of significance. I mean, one could do anything collectively, and I'm pretty certain the Sanstha would not say no if one approached them in the right manner, maybe putting a proposal together. And there are volunteer groups like that get involved. Gautam, talking about that, we went together to Guruji's ashram in the north when we went recently to Delhi and Gurgaon.
That's right.
And how beautifully organized was that, where
Yes,
everything was systematic. So it was quite a beautiful experience we shared together.
I was very touched actually, because if I remember correctly, even we were picked up from the main road in cars driven by volunteers using their petrol. They picked us up, there was total silence in the car, and they dropped us at the point outside the ashram just because they were doing seva. And there was a line of cars, because it's quite a long walk from the road to the ashram which you have to walk. So whoever wants to take this ride takes this ride. And that was quite touching, So it's like, not only are they giving money in terms of using their own fuel, because we don't know where in Delhi they are coming from, but they are giving their time for their guru. The guru is no longer in the body.
Yes.
That was in fact very beautiful to see. And at each step, I remember the person offering us the bottle of water, then how they make you queue up for the darshan, how they take you into the room where they feed you. Everything is done in a very gentle and systematic manner. It was actually quite beautiful to experience that. That itself shows that they are living the teaching of their guru.
Correct. And Gautam, we need not limit it only to Shirdi. There could be devotees all around the globe, and I'm sure there are Sai Baba temples all over.
Yes.
One could start doing Annadan in their localities. Many things one could do, having Baba's teachings, spreading it in different forms, because Baba's teaching was also very much the path of Karma Yoga. One could help others.
Yes.
So even those aspects, if you could talk of just service in general to mankind.
Yes, and you see, normally this happens on its own, because after all, when you follow the teachings of a guru like Baba, then qualities like compassion do develop. So, I mean, it should not be that we are trying to sound preachy by telling people what to do and what not to do, but just to look at this, that, and as you rightly pointed out in the beginning, the difference is here Baba is no longer in form. So we tend sometimes not to make that extra effort to do seva. So as you said, it could be even wherever the people are, it could even be just to the people under their umbrella. For example, you may be a businessman in a town in the US, and look at your relationship with your staff, and you may think of ideas to do seva for them. You may think, okay, let me like in India, what we do is sometimes we take the poor, like the drivers and the maids, and if they are married with children, we pay for their child's education. That is also seva to Baba.
Yes.
That is also a sign of your generosity increasing, which is the opposite of being miserly and hoarding. Because with the understanding, with following the teachings, the heart opens, you see. So one has to keep seeing, where can I give? Where can I give? I've been so fortunate to get, where can I give? That should become the mantra. That would be really beautiful. Also, I must add here a word of caution. And I will tell you this with a specific incident. I'm not sure if I raised it in the earlier podcast, Nick, so forgive me if I have. In my guru's last days, this whole topic of seva to the guru was coming up, because everyone knew that he doesn't have much time. Now, one lady who had been coming for years, okay, and being part of the talks and all, she saw that others had started giving envelopes of dakshina more often, because our guru was also falling ill a bit, you see. And right towards the end, she got up and walked up to him and placed an envelope at his feet. And he looked at her and he told her, this is not coming from the heart.
Yes.
This is coming as an obligation because you have seen others doing it. And she was stunned. I mean, I saw her, she was so taken aback, and it must have hurt her, this comment. But you see, you can't hide anything from the Guru. The Guru sees and knows all. So this is not a trade-off. You know, like people tell us, give 10% of your income to charity and you'll keep earning money. This is not a trade-off. Your relationship with the Guru does not work that way. So one should not also feel, oh, I must give seva, then the Baba will love me more.
Correct. No,
that
absolutely.
is not it. The seva is for you, not for Baba.
Yes.
The seva is ultimately for you because you're helping yourself. So this point is sometimes missed.
Correct. And Gautam, on a slightly different note, doing seva on the outside and service is wonderful. And as you said, it must come from a genuine feeling that arises from within, not as a compulsive thought or some sort of obligation.
Yeah.
Then on the individual level, where you spend time with Baba's teachings, the meditation, doing dhyan on Baba, doing the jap, because again, if that aspect is not lived, because that also in one way is living the teaching yourself. If you could talk about that aspect, Gautam.
Well, that is one sadhana, one spiritual practice, you see. So, I mean, if that is not happening, then you are not a devotee. That must happen in some way. Otherwise, you are just imbibing the knowledge intellectually, which is still not a bad start. But let's be clear that if the idea is a transformation in one's life, then one has to live the teachings. I gave the example of one government officer who was a bhakt of Sai Baba, and on the side he was taking bribes. And I have read myself, I don't know if it's in the Satcharita or in another book on Baba, that Baba has said clearly, do not take a bribe if you are in a government position. Now, are you following the teaching? Is there any point being a bhakt of Baba and taking a bribe on the side? So that's it. That is seva to oneself. Are you living the teaching? As simple as that.
Gautam, in today's day and age, as you said earlier, we have the luxury of social media and ways to communicate which were not possible before. Also, a whole new wave of a community is forming around Baba's devotees, where they can get together and have Baba in common. Could you speak a little bit on that aspect, where how devotees can, have that support, or, just a little bit on this?
Well, Nick, my understanding is that it's a different world today, as we know, compared to when Baba was there in the body. His devotees are all over the world, right? And now with social media, they are connected. So it's a very powerful force to have a community like that. In fact, such a community can really make a shift, a positive shift in not only the awareness of Baba and his teachings, but in consciousness as a whole if they are living the teaching. So I do foresee a very big role to play in this, and I think it is the right time to start this ball rolling by getting them together.
Yes.
And seeing what a collective can do as a group. You see, it reminds me of the time when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, when he started out, he was doing experiments in a certain city of group meditation, and the statistics showed that in that city the crime rate came crashing down. That is the impact a group has. So the time has come. I feel the platforms are there. People no longer need to fly down. They can be where they are. Take up a project from where they are. As long as there's common ground, a common platform, much can be achieved. Lots can be achieved. So I think it's actually the perfect time to start this.
Yes. And Gautam, one last question before we end today's podcast. One other very important aspect Baba symbolized was the coming together of different communities, religions, people of different creeds and cultures. And he had no discrimination between everyone. In fact, he was taking us to a place beyond our conditioned self.
Yes.
Now, in today's day and age, like with the epidemic coming up, unfortunately, across the world, there are different sorts of discriminations happening in different parts of the world to different communities, to different people. Could you speak a little bit about that? That what can a devotee do on an individual level to live and spread Baba's message or live that teaching in that aspect?
Nick, I really don't think there's much for anyone to do except be a living example of the teaching. You see, that is why Maharaj would tell people involved in social service, for example, that first look after yourself and see that you are sorted out as an individual. Because if everyone is sorted out themselves, then there will be no one left to sort out. But first sort out yourself. He didn't use such kind words, he had used very strong words. But I think that is the first step, and that is the main step to take, is to live the teaching. So I would keep coming back to that. And you see, Ramakrishna had a beautiful sentence.
Yes.
He said, so what if the world is covered by thorns? Wear sandals and walk all over them. And those sandals are the knowledge that God alone exists. Which means, in Baba's context, if you see Baba in everyone, you will understand that nobody truly does anything. It is Baba functioning through all of manifestation. And you will start living that teaching. Then
Yes.
you will be wearing the sandals that are the knowledge that only God exists.
Wonderful, Gautam. And thank you, as always, for your beautiful, priceless insights.
My pleasure, Nick.
Thank you, Gautam.
Take care.